Okay, right now I'm learning with my friend Aaron Novy, and we both opened up this book, Pirkei Avos, and we both opened up randomly. We're gonna we're gonna go through both Mishnahs that we learned. Probably gonna go through four Mishnahs, just regular, and we're gonna decide which one we want to go in depth in, just for being in depth. And then the one that we go in depth, we're also gonna do that one in Hebrew only. That's the only Mishnah we're gonna do in Hebrew. Okay, so right now I opened up to Ethics of the Fathers, and it's chapter 3, Mishnah 12 and 13. Rabbi Yishmael, we're just going to do mine, then you're going to do yours. Rabbi Yishmael said, "Be submissive to a head, pleasant and composed to the blackened, and receive every person with joy." Then Rabbi Akiva said, "Laughter and frivolity accustom a man to lewdness. The tradition is a protective fence for Torah. Tithes are a fence for riches, giving tzedakah. Vows are a fence for abstinence. A fence for wisdom is silence." This might be the Mishnah we should do, by the way. Talks about everything that I should be working on and you should be working on too. What did you open up to, though?
I'm trying to figure out how do you find what are you reading from?
Look at the very top left hand of the quarter, the very top left hand of the side of the paper you open to. It'll say the numbers. What does it say first?
12 and 13 for yours?
Mine is 3 to the left. That means chapter 3, and then Mishnah 12 and 13. So it's on page 100 and 101.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, which one did you do, though?
And then mine were 14 and 15, Mishnah 14 and 15 of chapter 2. So Rabbi Elazar said, "Be in this." One second.
Yeah.
Be diligent in the study of Torah. Know what to answer
And Apikoros, that's a heretic.
And know before whom you toil and who your employer is that will pay you reward of your labor.
Okay.
Rabbi Tarfon said, "The day is short, the work is vast, the workmen are lazy, the reward is great, and the master is pressing." So we got chapter 2.
Okay, what do you...
3. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do the one on Tzedakah.
Okay, it'd be really great if we could do this on a live platform, and then we'd have everybody vote for it. That would be cool.
I'm live streaming mine, but it's not like...
If you have, people following you, and they would know a set time that we would do this, man, you'd have a whole bunch of people, you'd have a vote. It would be really cool. Okay, but... I like 13, but I also like 13 from mine, but I also like 14 from yours. Because number 4, I feel like Rabbi discusses tzedakah at great length, but the only reason I should do number 13 is because it's talking about offense for wisdom and silence. That's for me.
For the ones I've got are kind of short. Do you want it? Let's do it. Yeah, 12 is only one page, and then 13 goes into 2 pages. Both of mine are really short.
What about the one for 14? Let's see. Do you know what an apikoros is?
It says heretic.
You know what that is, though? That's like people that are denouncing the Torah and going against the Torah. And it's good. Remember last time I came after Pesach, we're having videos about how to deal with all the heretics. That's what this is good about. I want to do the Apikoros part. Just do the Apikoros part from 14, and then we'll do the other one in depth with mine. Just because I want to discuss about the Apikoros.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So an Epikoros. According to some, Epikoros is derived from the name of the Greek philosopher Epikoros, who denied the relationship between God and the world. Sefer HaKarim 110, Simag and Ovid. The sages use the term in the sense of hefker, which means abandoned or ownerless, referring to a person who mocks the Torah and considers it worthless, like an abandoned object. This person also abandons his own well-being, ignoring the repercussions he may suffer from mocking the Torah and its sages. That's from Bartanora. Wow, his soul is up. His soul is hefker. His all the goodness that Hashem gives you is hefker. That's kind of retarded, right? To say that your soul and everything about the Torah and Hashem is hefker is it's just retarded. To say that everything that God gives you is worthless is very stupid. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I get you. So referring to us who mocks the Torah and considers it worthless, an abandoned object.
Okay, let's do the next Mishnah. So bear with me, Aaron, because I'm going to do this in Hebrew. Again, for those that were paying attention, Rabbi Akiva said, "Laughter and frivolity accustom a man to lewdness. The tradition is a protective fence for Torah. Tithes are a fence for riches. Vows are a fence for abstinence. A fence for wisdom is silence." And in Hebrew, Rabbi Akiva Omer, "Sichoik v'kalus roish margilin es ha'adam le'erva maseires seyug." I did it backwards. La Torah ma'eserois seyug la oisher Nedarim seyug la perishus seyug la chachma shechsika. Okay, let's go to 13. Sichoik v'kalus roish. Laughter and frivolity. That's what we're discussing. You see where I'm at? It's at. We're on page 101, the very first commentary. Laughter that is associated with frivolity leads to negative things, but laughter that is associated with a mitzvah is a good thing, as the Talmud relates regarding Abaye. Baruchas 30b, he was exceedingly cheerful because he was wearing tefillin, Knesset Yisrael. And I just wanted to bring another thing. A lot of the sages, they would start off a mimer or a sikha or a teaching of some sort. They'd always start off with a joke. Like Rabbi Boaz, he starts off his shir with a joke. So if you're going to have a joke to lead to learning, then it's a positive thing. Maseres, tradition, referring to the oral tradition through which we determine the exact meaning of the verses of the written Torah and its laws. This is Rashi. Rabbi Yonah is referring to the tradition by which we know both the exact spelling of the words of the Torah and its musical notes, which was passed down through the generations, teacher to student. This protected the Torah's integrity so much so that only in rare instances are there different traditions regarding the spelling of words in the Torah. Yeah, and if you look at every single Torah, if it's a kosher Torah, there isn't one letter, one aspect of the Torah that's different. Maybe a different font, but every single letter has to be exact in the same order to be kosher. Maharal explained that Masoret refers to the mnemonics that were used to protect the student from forgetting Torah. He added that Masoret cannot refer to the oral law, since the latter is not a fence to the Torah, but rather an integral part of it. Siyug, fence. A fence and a fortification. So, why are we talking about this? So, the tradition is a protective fence for Torah. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the fences. Like everything like all our traditions are just ways so that we don't forget everything. That everything will stay. Like if you notice, Judaism is the oldest religion that believes in one God because our traditions haven't changed. We're not like other religions. I'm not going to mention those idol worship ones that they have to keep switching it to keep up with their own nonsense. We have one tradition and it stays and nothing changes. The only thing that changes is we try to refine our character. Okay, maseres, tithes. This is generously giving charity causes one to receive additional wealth from God. Rashi, Rabbi Yonah. By the way, a tithe is 10%, and one that like really fulfills Tanya and goes the extra mile and everything is going to give 20%. But minimum, actual halacha is 10%, and if you're a big chassid, you're going to give 20%, and if you were really smart, you'd probably give 20% and trust in Hashem because you'll actually make more money.
And 10% is maser, and 20% is tzedakah.
No, they're both tzedakah. 20% is a different. I think it's called a chum. I don't know the exact. It's called chumrish. I think it's called or something. It's like 20%. I'm gonna ask my friend when the exact word for that. But the actual meiseros is 10%.
Gotcha.
20% is the right thing to do, but not everyone can hold by that, and some people are so poor. It's amazing they give 10%.
Yeah.
Nidarim, vows. When a person takes vows and keeps them, he acquires self-discipline and the ability to control his impulses when challenged with destructive temptations. Rambam. Shisika, silence. One who is more concerned with expressing his own view than hearing those of the masters will not gain true wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is silence. Aphorism cited by Mary. Silence also helps one retain wisdom, since any mundane talk distracts a person from meditation. This is from Sforno. The wisdom of Torah is compared to a vessel filled with honey. Pour in a cup of water, and a cup of honey is placed. Midrash Shocher Tov, cited by Chida Petach Inyan. I don't get that. The wisdom of Torah is compared to a vessel filled with honey. Pour in a cup of water and a cup of honey is displaced. I don't know why. Why is it mentioning this honey stuff?
When you pour in a cup of water into a cup of honey, then they like mix and it turns into like honey water.
So what's that? What's that going
to? Is compared to a vessel filled with honey. So it's like sticky and it sticks. But what is the water connected to?
I don't know. I'm just.
Helps to retain wisdom, since any mundane talk distracts the person from meditation. Yeah, so mundane talk is sounding like it's the water. It's like this, not. It's displacing it, or more or less distilling it into a lesser honey. Like it's not as thick of honey, I guess, maybe.
I don't know. There's many positive aspects of water with the Torah either. So the Torah is actually considered to be water. So I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Anyways, let's go further. Maybe someone in the comments that watches the video will explain this further. The last clause of the statement by Rabbi Akiva is in reverse. A fence for wisdom is silence. This follows the style of speakers who reverse their final statement to indicate that it is the last. Rabbi Akiva, the son of a convert, Rambam Introduction to Mishnah Torah, lived the first 40 years of his life ignorant of Torah and hateful of its sages. It's an Avos de Rabbi Natan 6.2. He went on to become one of the greatest sages of Israel. He was one of 4 sages that entered the Pardes, a sublime spiritual state, and the only one to enter in peace and emerge in peace. One who sees Rabbi Akiva in a dream should expect to attain piety. He was one of the 4 sages who lived for 120 years. The other 3 were Moshe Rabbeinu, probably Hillel Chazakin, Hillel the Elder, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The primary sages of the Mishnah were his students. Whenever there is a disagreement between Rabbi Akiva and a colleague, the halacha follows Rabbi Akiva. He was killed by the Romans as one of the 10 martyrs. It's in Magun Avos. Rabbi Akiva was a colleague of Rabbi Yishmael. Their statements are therefore cited together. Furthermore, Rabbi Akiva qualifies the statement of his colleague. Greet every person with joy, but do not get carried away to the point of frivolity, which leads to impurity. He then lists a number of behaviors that lead to holiness, the opposite of impurity. In the next Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva explains why we ought to take measures to protect ourselves from spiritual harm. Just as a person erects a fence around something that is precious, so should we protect our spiritual selves because of our preciousness, since we are created in God's image. See Sforno. After mentioning that we are created in God's image, Rabbi Akiva speaks in a third Mishnah about freedom of choice, which is one of the features of being created in God's image. So the very last thing which is interesting, is that it says the fact that we have freedom of choice, that is a godly quality. And that's finished.
So what I think would be a good idea, because I don't remember where I learned it from. Maybe it was Rabbi said it or something, but I know it was recent. Was that if you read, or maybe it was a lesson that I watched or listened to, but if you read something, if you learn something twice, then it's more easily held on to, as long as you're not like doing bad things or wasting time and not learning at least. So I'm curious, are you okay with listening to me read this whole Mishnah now?
Yeah. Can I turn off the recording? Because I don't know if everybody wants to hear that twice.
Yeah, you're fine.